Okay, everyone, we're going to be reading and annotating today in Tom's Secret. This is in your benchmark book, Unit 2, starting on page 22. Make sure you have your book out with me and a pen or pencil to annotate. Before we begin reading today, let's go ahead and take a look at what genre we're going to be reading. Well, it's realistic fiction. No surprise, because all of the other excerpts that we had read from the Adventures of Tom Sawyer were also realistic fiction. So, of course, that means it's a made up story, but it is realistic. It feels like it could have happened. I also like to look at the pictures before I start to read. Now, here, this picture looks interesting. It looks like a lot of money, a lot of gold coins lit by candlelight. It almost looks dreamy, like a dream of a lot of money, because something about it looks kind of hazy. Here, if I turn the page, I also see another picture. It looks kind of hazy also, almost a dream-like sort of situation. I can see Tom and Huck are both on a boat here, but their expressions do not look very excited. They look like something is wrong. So I'm wondering what might be going on with these two in this adventure today. So let's go back to page 22. Tom's Secret, an excerpt from The Adventures of Tom Sawyer by Mark Twain. In the following excerpts, Tom and Huck make a plan to search for a chest of gold coins that a thief, disguised as a Spaniard is a person from Spain, and his accomplice is someone that helps someone, usually who's committing a crime. So a thief and his accomplice have hidden somewhere in town. That seems to be the main idea of this story. The boys spied the two men digging up the gold and overheard their plans to hide it. Oh, so they actually saw them digging it up and overheard the plans. Though Tom and Huck are nervous about the risks of going in search of the stolen treasure, they are eager to find it. Will they succeed? Dun dun dun. Okay, let's find out how do Tom and Huck do trying to find the thief's gold. Tom and Huck resolved. Resolved means like you make a plan and you decide you're going to stick to it. To keep a lookout for that Spaniard when he should come to town, spying out for his chances to do his revengeful job, and follow him to number 2, wherever that might be. So I wonder if number 2, is that where the gold is? I'm not sure what they mean by that. Then a ghastly thought occurred to Tom. Ooh, ghastly means like really frightening, scary. Revenge? What if he means us, Huck? Oh, so they're thinking, what if he wants to get revenge on them? Oh, don't, said Huck, nearly fainting. They talked it over, and as they entered town, they agreed to believe that he might possibly mean somebody else. At least that he might at least mean nobody but Tom, since only Tom had testified. Now, I'm not sure what they mean here by testified. Usually that's in front of a court when you say a statement. But the little number here means that there's a footnote with more explanation. So down here, the footnote says, in an earlier chapter, Tom testified against Injun Joe in a murder trial. So Tom testified, meaning he got up in front of a court and said what he saw. He was like a witness to a crime. So maybe they're thinking that this man wants to get revenge on Tom for testifying in court. Very, very small comfort it was to Tom to be alone in danger. Company would be palpable improvement, he thought. So he's basically saying, well, it doesn't really help me if we're deciding he's just after me and not you. Like, it's still scary to me. So he's saying company would be a palpable improvement, meaning he would rather have Huck be in danger too, so that they could at least both be in danger together. All right, next chapter, from chapter XXVII. I think that's 27. Correct me if I'm wrong. The adventure of Day mightily tormented. Tormented means bothers him and tortures him. Tom's dreams that night. 4 times he had his hands on that rich treasure, and 4 times it wasted to nothingness in his fingers, as sleep forsook him and wakefulness brought him back the hard reality of his misfortune. So it's basically he's having nightmares about the treasure. So I'm just going to write out here. So he's having nightmares that he finds the treasure and then it disappears. As he lay in the early morning, recalling the incidents of his great adventure, he noticed that they seemed curiously subdued and far away, somewhat as if they had happened in another world or in a time long gone by. So it seems like all of this maybe had never happened. So he's feeling like maybe it didn't happen. Then it occurred to him that the great adventure itself must be a dream. So he's dreamt about it so much, he's thinking, well, maybe this didn't really happen and it's all a dream. And wouldn't that be great? Because then no murderers are after me. There was one very strong argument in favor of this idea, namely that the quantity of coin he had seen was too vast to be real. He feels like there's no way I ever saw that much money. That just doesn't seem possible. That must have been a dream. He had never seen as much as $50 in one mass before. And he was like all boys of his age and station in life, in that he imagined that all references to hundreds and thousands were mere fanciful forms of speech, and that no such sums really existed in the world. So when people talk about hundreds or thousands of dollars, he feels like, oh, people just say that, but that doesn't really even exist. That's just so much money. Like, no one could have that much money. Okay, let's turn the page and see what happens next on page 24, paragraph 8. He never had supposed for a moment that so large a sum as $100 was to be found in actual money in anyone's possession. Like, he can't even believe $100 is real. If his notions of hidden treasure had been analyzed, they would have been found to consist of a handful of real dimes and a bushel of vague, splendid, ungraspable dollars. So what they mean here is, like, when he's really thinking about hidden treasure, he doesn't really believe that there could be that much money. He's just thinking of like dimes and maybe a few dollars. But keep in mind too, back then, dollars and dimes actually were worth a lot more. So just keep that part in mind. But the incidents of his adventure grew sensibly sharper and clearer under the attrition of thinking them over. So now that he's been up a while, it's becoming sharper and clearer after the attrition, that's an interesting word, of thinking them over. He's thinking about it so much, he's like, wait, maybe it was true. So he presently found himself leaning to the impression that the thing might not have been a dream, after all. This uncertainty must be swept away. He would snatch a hurried breakfast and go and find Huck. Huck was sitting on the gunwale of a flatboat, so it kind of helps us to know what that means when you see here. He's sitting on, I guess the gunwale is the edge, I'm not sure, of a flatboat. I can see why they call it a flatboat. Listlessly dangling his feet in the water and looking very melancholy. Ooh, that's a really good word. If you want to know what melancholy means, look at his face. That's what a look of melancholy is, kind of just sad and dejected and depressed. Tom concluded to let Huck lead up to the subject. If he did not do it, then the adventure would be proved to have been only a dream. So he feels if Huck doesn't mention it, then the adventure was a dream. So he's not even going to ask him, oh, is this true? He's just going to see if he mentions it. Hello, Huck. Hello yourself. Silence for a minute. Tom, if we'd have left the blame tools at the dead tree, we'd have got the money. Oh, ain't it awful? Okay, I don't really know what he means there. If we'd have left, I think he means if we had left the tools at the dead tree, maybe that was where they saw them. I don't know, where they spied on them, we'd have got the money. So like, we'd have gotten the money. Oh, ain't it awful? The dialect is confusing me a little there, but it sounds like maybe what Huck is thinking is that they would have had the money if they had left the tools at the tree, which whatever that means. 'Tain't a dream, then. 'Tain't a dream. Somehow I most wish it was. Dogged if I don't, Huck. So again, the dialect is a little confusing. Remember that word, dialect. A dialect is like a very specific way a character talks to give them a little bit more character, to give us a little more insight into the way that they speak, and so we can hear their voice in our heads as we read. So they speak a little bit differently, so it's a little hard to understand what they mean, but he's just saying, it wasn't a dream, it wasn't a dream. I wish it was, but it wasn't. What ain't a dream? Oh, that thing yesterday. I've been half thinking it was. Dream? If them stairs hadn't broke down, you'd have seen how much a dream it was. I've had dreams enough all night, with him going for me all through 'em. Rot him. No, not rot him. Find him. Track the money. So basically here, I think the main idea is he finds out it wasn't a dream, and Huck is like, yeah, no, it's definitely not a dream. I feel like this part about the stairs, maybe some kind of chase happened on the stairs where basically they got away. And he's saying, yeah, if those stairs hadn't have broke, you would see how much dream it was. Like, you would have gotten really hurt. So he's also had nightmares too. He says, I've had dreams enough all night with him going for me all through him. So he's also having dreams being chased by the bad guy. So now they are determined to track the money. So we will find out tomorrow. Do they find the money? Does Tom find out that more than $100 really does exist in one place? We will see.